How long one could siege a fortress? A month, a year, or maybe a decade? Depends on the situation. We will talk about 8 of them, the longest sieges of the past. Number 8. Battle of Xingyang. In 13th century the huge Mongol army invaded the Chinese Empire. They stopped near the key fortress Xingyang, encircled it and decided to starve the garrison into surrender. But Chinese had enough food and water and were determined not to yield without a fight. Only when Mongols deployed a lot of siege machines and brutally bombarded the castle, it finally capitulated. Xingyang stood against the powerful army for 5 years. Number 7. Siege of Holika. During the bloody civil war in England, Holika remained the last castle in Lancastrian hands. It was situated on a high rock and had a fortified harbor for sea supplement. This gave the defenders a great advantage in a holdout. Holika managed to hold for long 7 years until the garrison finally waved the white flag. Number 6. Siege of Tripoli. The years of First Crusade. After capturing Edessa, Antioch and Jerusalem, the Crusaders began to besiege the city of Tripoli. They cut it off from all kinds of supplement and began to wait. The agony lasted for 7 years. Overcome by hunger and disease, the city surrendered and was plundered by Crusaders. Number 5. Siege of Drepana. The First Punic War. Drepana was a Carthaginian naval stronghold on Sicily. The city was blocked by Romans from the land, but still remained a hard nut to crack. Drepana managed to hold for 8 years until the Romans wiped out the entire Carthaginian fleet and forced it to capitulate in war. Number 4. Siege of Thessalonica. It took place when Ottomans invaded Byzantine Empire once again, in order to capture the city of Thessalonica. Frightened Byzantine prince Andronikos invented a perfect plan. He sold the city to Venetians, and they took a burden of defending their expended funds. Ottomans kept the city in blockade for 8 years, until finally attacked and captured it. Following a long-standing custom for a city taken by storm, the plundering lasted for 3 days. Number 3. Siege of Ishiyama. Japan, the Sengoku period. Oda Nobunaga, the famous war chief, besieged the fortress controlled by revolting monks. Oda was a risky guy, but not that day. He decided to take no chances and to starve out the fortress. And that was long, very long. The castle was holding for incredible 10 years before persistent Oda finally forced the defenders to yield. Number 2. Siege of Philadelphia. 13th century. A Byzantine emperor promised to hand over the city of Philadelphia to the Turks, in return for the Sultan's aid in a Byzantine civil war. That was not a very good idea, because the city dwellers made it clear that they were not an object for sale. They managed to resist the besiegement. The city desperately held for an impressive 12 years, before was finally taken by the Ottoman forces. Number 1. Siege of Candia. It began not long after the Knights of Malta had plundered the Turkish sea convoy. The knights kept the spoils in the Venetian fortress of Candia that was on the Crete island. Ottomans, craving revenge for the insult, sent there 60,000 men. And the epic siege began. Venetians had been defending for 21 years, until one scoundrel turned his squad to the Turks and gave them the plan of the fortress. Nevertheless, the siege of Candia is the world's absolute champion, the highest score of the longest sieges and the honored first place in our list. These were 8 longest sieges of the past. Thanks for watching and good luck!